we will start reading from Buddha's answer, right? So last time we have seen that that question part was Pratipatti Lakshana. Now, what is the next section? What is it called? Do you remember? The next section regarding now the Buddha's answer.
Pratipatisthana.
Pratipatisthana, yes. Okay. Very good. Yeah, it's called Pratipatisthana. That's a fifth section. Actually, I should put it on. Yeah, so it's called Pratipatisthana. And there now we will see Buddha's reply. So we have seen that Buddha appreciated Subhuti for rightly saying that that Buddha has done lots of favor and has given great support to all the bodhisattvas, right, in the past. And now he is going to give us the next one. So, Sunim, can you read the next line? You were supposed to read, right? That's what where we stopped on Monday.
Yes,
can you
sir.
please read the next section?
Yes. 때너희 수보때 슈루누 사두쩌 슈두쩌 언어직구루.
Yes. Tena cha subhuti shunu sadhu cha sushtu cha manasi kuru, and then also followed by that bhashishyeham te. Yeah?
Yes.
Now this is a very general, common phrase. So what does it mean? Tena cha subhuti, then, yeah, tena. Therefore, now.
수보때 listen and pay attention. Well,
Yes. So therefore, now Subhuti, Shrudu. So the first thing what he says is the Shrudu. Yeah. So listen. Yeah. Shrudu is basically it's a imperative second person singular form of the root shru. Shru means to listen. And then next one he says sadhucha sushtucha manasikuru. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now sadhu and sushtu. So these are the two words, two adverbs used. Manasikuru literally it means to make it in your mind. Manas means mind. So manasikuru, and kuru is again an imperative second person singular form of the root kru, to do. Yeah. So do in your mind. That means take it receive it in your mind. That means pay attention. Yeah, Bante? Now there are two adverbs. How should he pay attention? How should he receive it in mind? Sadhu and sushtu. So sadhu means in a manner which is not wrong or not adverse, and sushtu means properly. Yeah? Properly. So in the commentary they explain it in this way. So I mean in the Buddhist tradition, when we say that when you're listening, you should listen to things properly and in right manner. Now when you say right manner, that is explained with this analogy or simile of a pot. Yeah? A pot. Do you know this? Yeah. The simile of pot used for listening. So they say that you should not listen like a pot which is upside down. Yeah? what does that mean? Listening like a pot upside down. Avang mukha. That's a Sanskrit expression which they use. See, if you want to fill a pot, yeah, fill it with water, let's say. And if you keep the pot not like this, but like this, then what will happen? No. I mean, if you want to put water, fill water in the pot, and the pot is upside down, then
what you are, what the putter what we are going to put will not be go inside the pot.
Yes. So if you keep the pot upside down, nothing can go inside the pot, right? If you pour it, no matter how much you pour, it will all go outside. It will not go inside the pot. So this is one way of listening, right? So whatever may the teacher say, it all goes not inside the brain, yeah? Not inside the mind, but then it goes outside. So that's one thing. So avang mukha. So don't listen like that. So not listening like a upside down pot. Second is not listening like the second one is not listening like a dirty pot, ashuchi, unclean pot. See, if the pot is not clean, if it is dirty, and if you put water in that pot, what will happen? What will happen?
Then the thing will itself will be dirty, which we are going to put inside itself will be dirty.
Yes, right. So if the pot is dirty, if it is not clean, even though you put clean water into it, pure water, it will become impure. It will become unclean, right? So just like that, when you are listening to discourses of the Buddha, and if your mind is not pure, then whatever, even though you receive very good pure teaching, when it enters your mind, you may interpret it wrongly. And in this way, the teaching also gets contaminated. The teaching also gets corrupt. Yeah, it becomes impure. So one should not also listen like a dirty pot. Okay, ashuchi. That's a Sanskrit word they use. And then the third is one should not listen like a leaking pot, a pot with holes. They call it sachidra ghata. Chidra means hole, and sachidra with hole. So what will happen if you pour water into a pot with holes or a leaking pot?
Then then the thing will not be remain inside there.
No, so basically, if the pot is, if it has holes, no matter, I mean, how much, no matter, if you put so much teachings into it, so much water into it, ultimately all that water will leak and go away, right? So nothing will remain, right? So if you are listening to teachings with that kind of mind, then maybe at the time of discourses, you are listening, you are receiving it, and you are also receiving with a pure mind. But then you forget, yeah. You are not able to retain it. It's also of no use, right? So these are the three faults in listening. Now, when Buddha says that Shrunu sadhucha sushtucha manasi kuru, what he means is that you should listen to the teachings without these faults, right? Without these faults. That means you should be
It will
always
never get
receiving.
accumulated.
Sorry? Sorry, can you say that again? Anyway, so the point is that you should listen in such a way that you are open to the teachings, right? You're ready to listen and receive. That's the first quality, openness. Mentally, you should be mentally open, because now otherwise you won't you're not ready to accept the teaching. Second is you should listen and receive the teachings with pure heart. And third thing, that whatever you receive, you should retain it. Yeah? You should not forget it. You should not let it go. Right? Otherwise, whatever you are learning in the second semester, whatever you learn in first semester is already gone. Yeah? Is it there or is it gone already? Bhante? Whatever you learn in first semester, it is there or it is gone? Difficult.
I try my best.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now
I remember.
you remember. Okay, very good.
Concept from you.
Okay, so these are the three qualities, good qualities. So when they say Shrunu and Sadhu cha Sushtu cha Manasi karu, so the Sadhu and Sushtu, these two adverbs, they mean that you should listen without these three faults. Okay, and then Bhashishye Hamte. So now Buddha says, I will explain it to you. Bhashishye, this future first person singular. I will explain it to you. Okay. Yeah. So you are capable. So you are capable, and you are to you. I'm going to explain, not to others, because you are capable. You are what do you say? You show interest and intention to learn. So I will explain it to you. And now he says that Buddha said that I will explain, but now it is your responsibility to grasp it, to comprehend it. Okay. Now we'll read the next sentence. One thing you did not read, yes, Monday, right? Can you please the next sentence? Or did you read? I don't remember. Okay. Yatha. Read loudly.
Yatha bodhisattvai jnana sampratītena sthātaviyam yatha pratipattaviyam yatha cittam prajñāpāramitā.
Yes. Now the Buddha says that I will explain. And what is he going to explain? Yatha bodhisattvayana sampraspitena sthātavyam. As a person who has started walking on the bodhisattva path should stand. Sthātavyam. Yatha pratipattavyam. As he should, the way he should walk. And yatha chittam pragruhitavyam. And the way he should uphold or strengthen his mind. Yeah? Focus his mind. Okay? So now Buddha said that, okay, I'm going to explain to you. And now he uses this expression. Bodhisattvayana samprasthite. So someone who has already started walking, samprasthita. He has started his journey, yeah, on the path of a bodhisattva. Yeah? Or he can say in the vehicle, bodhisattva vehicle. Now, in the commentary, Kamalaśīla explains the word bodhisattvayana. He says bodhisattvanam yanam. He says it's a shashti tatpurusha compound. So bodhisattvayana means the yana of the bodhisattvas by which they go, they move, yeah, they progress. Okay. Now this yana, I mean, literally, I told you the word yana can mean two things. It can mean the vehicle, or it can also mean the path, right? And he said this bodhisattva yana includes the practice of 10 paramitas, the practice of 10 bhumis. Yeah, in the Mahayana path, the path of Buddhahood is the path of perfecting 10 paramitas and 10 bhumis. So in the bodhisattva, I mean in this text called like Dasha Bhumika or Bodhisattva Bhumi, the practice of a bodhisattva of 10 bhumis, attaining the 10 levels, is connected with the perfection of 10 paramitas. Okay, so that is the bodhisattva yana. Okay, and when we say that he's starting the journey, now you can see all this is a figurative language. Now, what do you mean by starting the journey? He says starting the journey means you make a resolve, you have a bodhicitta. Okay, pranidhi prasthana chittabhyam pravartate. So pranidhi and prasthana chitta. This is actually a typical Mahayana terminology. So you should first have pranidhi chitta, and then you should have a prasthana chitta. When you study texts like Bodhicharyavatara and so on, or even Bodhisattva Bhumi, you will get this terminology. So pranidhi means resolve, resolution. We talked about it, right, last time, when we talked about sthattavyam, pratipattavyam, and chittam pragrihitavyam. So we said that sthattavyam means making the chanda and pranidhana. So that pranidhana, the resolution is important, the commitment that I will become a bodhisattva and to take that bodhisattva vow, right? And a prasthana chitta, that I will now start practicing. Yeah, I'll start walking on this path. Now this is, when you do that, your journey starts. That's the beginning of your journey. Okay, so when you say that bodhisattva yana samprasthita, what it means is a practitioner who has now already made a resolve, made a commitment, and he has had a prasthana chitta, the thought of starting his practice for attainment of 10 perfections and 10 bhumis. Okay, 10 paramitas and 10 bhumis. So that is what we call as someone who has started his journey on the bodhisattva path. Okay. Now this is specifically mentioned bodhisattva yana samprasthita, because here by saying this, it is made clear that this is not a path of a Shravaka. This is neither a Shravaka yana nor a Pratyeka Buddha yana. Right? So here a practitioner is someone who has started his journey to attain the Buddha Bodhi. See, actually in the tradition we say that enlightenment or awakening is also of three types, threefold awakening. Shravaka Bodhi, Pratyeka Buddha Bodhi, and Buddha Bodhi. Right? So what he is trying to say is that this path which he is going to explain now is for someone who aspires for Buddha Bodhi, for the awakening of the Buddha, and not the awakening of Shravaka or awakening of a Pratyeka Buddha. Okay? Yes. Then what happens? Chetan, can you read the next sentence?
Yes, sir. Evam Bhagavan iti Ayushyan
Ayushman Subhuti
Ayushman Subhuti Bhagavataha
Pratyashravshit.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the basic sentence is Ayushman Subhuti Bhagavataha Pratyashravshit. So Venerable Subhuti gave his approval, gave his consent, pratyashraushit, to the Buddha, Bhagavataha, to the exalted one. By saying something. By saying what? By saying Evam Bhagwan. Evam Bhagwan iti. So this iti is a kind of a quotation mark. So Subhuti said, Evam Bhagwan. Yeah, that means okay, O exalted one. Fine. Evam, let it be so. Yeah, so the Buddha said, I will explain to you. And then how a bodhisattva should practice. And then Subhuti said, okay, fine. Yes. Yeah? So he gave his consent to now listen to the Buddha. Right? So this is called pratyashraushit, to give consent. Prati plus shru is the root. Prati plus shru. Shru, you already know. Shru means to listen, right? Just now we have seen shrunu. Shru, to listen. It's the same root but different prefix. Now the prefix is prati. And prati plus shru means to promise, to give consent, to give approval. Okay. So pratyashraushit is aorist, past tense, third person singular form. So Subhuti promised the Buddha, that means he gave his consent to listen to what the Buddha is saying. Okay, by saying Evam Bhagwan. Okay, O exalted one. Okay, did you get that? Now, next one. Aorist, yes. Yes, aorist, third person singular.
Which served in Sanskrit, sir? How
ये सामान्य भूतकाल है.
सामान्य भूतकाल.
Simple past. Okay, so with this now, I mean, this particular section is over. Now the next section, actually Buddha's answer begins. Okay. Meghna ji, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you please read? Do you have the text now?
So I have shared on the group, and Sister Lee has also shared with me one of the files, but I'm not able to place where we are reading. So, and I received it just now.
Can you see? Can someone tell her the page number? I mean, where we are reading? Which edition you're following? The Vaidya's edition. Can somebody tell the page number? Are you having the Vaidya's edition?
No, sir. I have the one which is there on the dsbcproject.org.
No, that's okay. That's the site name. I mean, which edition is there?
Those details are not mentioned here, sir.
It's a small text. You should be able to find it. We are just at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So PL Ved
Please
is
see the paragraph where we are. Okay. Otherwise, then Sukosanti, can you read the next line? No, okay, stop. So now the Buddha's actual answer begins. So Bhagwan asya etad avochat. So Bhagwan, the exalted one, said thus to him. Asya. He said thus to him. To him means to Subhuti. Now what did he say? So he said, Iha Subhute bodhisattvayana samprasthitena evam chittam utpadayitavyam. O Subhuti, now Subhute, that's a vocative. So O Subhuti, here means in this world. Okay? In this world, someone who has started his journey, or who is going to start, who is about to start his journey on the bodhisattva path should produce, literally should produce such a mind. That means should think like this. Yeah, should have such thought. Chittam utpadayitavyam. Now utpadayitavyam is a potential participle of the root ut plus pada, means to produce. Yeah, and this is a causal. So should produce mind. Now to produce a mind is a phrase, is an idiom in Sanskrit. To produce a mind means to have a thought, to think. Yeah. So in simple language, what Buddha is saying is that someone who is about to start his journey on the bodhisattva path should think like this. Okay. Chittam utpadayitavyam is a phrase. Now with this, actually the Buddha starts explaining the path. Okay. Explaining the path. And every time this path will be divided into three. It has several steps, but every step is further divided into three. Sthatavyam, Pratipattavyam, and Chittam Pragrahitavyam. So to have desire and commitment, to attain the absorption, Yoga Samapatti, and to hold the mind together, that means not allowing the mind to scatter. So these are the three stages every time. Every step you will have these three stages. Now, before we read this, in the commentary, they have divided this whole section, the remaining sutta, into 18 subgroups, 18, you can say parts, 18 sections. Now these 18 sections are important to follow the sutra. So this practice of prajñāpāramitā has 18 steps. Okay? And these are called pratipatti sthana, the steps in the practice. Yeah? Stations on the in the practice. Stations. Yeah? Just like when you travel by train or a bus, you have stations, right? So if you want to, let's say, for example, if you want to go to Delhi from here, you cannot directly go to Delhi. You have to go, if you go by train, the train will stop at different stations and ultimately it will reach Delhi, right? Now, similarly, in order to become the Buddha, one has to, or in order to perfect the prajna, the wisdom, one has to take the following stations. Sthana. Yeah, Pratipatti Sthana. Now, which are these? So, please remember, these are the 18, these are mentioned in the commentary. And these are Chittotpadaha. First one is Chittotpada. The very first step is, as just now Buddha said, to produce a mind. That means to think, to aspire. First thing which is necessary is the aspiration. Okay? Aspiration. In order to achieve anything, what you need is aspiration. Now, this is of course true for attaining the prajñāpāramitā, but this is also true for any goal. If you want to achieve any goal in your life, the very first thing which you need is aspiration, chittotpada. If you don't have aspiration, if you don't want to become a Buddha, you will never become a Buddha. Right? So if you want to master Sanskrit, if you want to master Buddhist literature, you should have a strong aspiration to master the language, to understand the text. If you don't have the aspiration, you won't learn it. Yeah? You won't be able to master it. So that aspiration is very important. That's the first step. The second is the Paramita Yoga. It is called Paramita Yoga. Paramita Yoga means your effort, application for perfection. You should start practicing. You should start perfecting the various qualities. Yeah, the paramitas. Then, third one is Rupakāyāptikamata. That's the third one. Rupakāyāptikamata. That means a desire to attain or to obtain the Rupakaya. The Rupakaya means the physical body of the Buddha. If you want to become a Buddha, you should aspire to have the Buddha body. What is Buddha body? What is so special in the Buddha body? You know that the Buddha body has 32 major marks, right? And 80 minor marks. Yeah, do you know that? Yeah. Now, these marks on the body of the Buddha, they are the result of the knowledge and merit which he has acquired, right? Through many kalpas, through many aeons. So one should have that aspiration that I should have a Buddha body. Okay? Just like the Buddha has this fine body endowed with 32 major marks and 80 minor marks. So my body should also become like that. That's the third station. The fourth station is Dharmakāyāptikamata, they call it. The Buddha is not just his body, but Buddha is also his, as I call it, Dharmakaya, the body of his teachings. Dharmakaya. So Buddha is his Dharmakaya, in ultimate sense. So one should try to acquire the Dharma body of the Buddha. Not just a physical body, not just a material body, but the next step is aspiring to attain or to obtain the Dharma body of the Buddha. Okay? You know about the Buddha, when we talk about the Buddha, we talk about his two bodies, Dharmakaya and Rupakaya. So the physical body of the Buddha is called Rupakaya, and the teachings of the Buddha, the Buddha nature, the Buddha qualities, this is called the Dharmakaya. Okay? So this is the fourth station. Next step is Bhavana Vishesha Labhe Anabhimanaha. Next important station in the practice is that when you are practicing, you attain some certain special qualities. You get some special powers, right? Like the riddhis, the psychic powers, and so on. This is very natural, because when you are purifying your mind, when you are perfecting paramitas, you ought to get these special qualities. But when you get such special qualities, when you get some special attainments, one should not generate abhimana. Abhimana is ego. One should not develop any kind of pride or ego. So not developing ego at the attainment of some special qualities, special status. This is the next step in the practice. Okay? That was number 5, right? Now we'll go to number 6. Buddhotpadaragata. That is buddhotpada aragata. We should not attach to the buddhotpada, to the birth of a Buddha. So one should not get attached to the arising of the Buddha. See, I mean, usually it is said that when the Buddha is there, then it becomes easy for you to practice. And it is a bit difficult to practice when Buddha is not there. But then one should not attach oneself to that, because the appearance of the Buddha in the world is kind of also a bit conceptual. I mean, Buddha nature is always there. So one should not have that kind of attachment. One should not be very passionate about it. That's the next one, sixth one. Next one is, seventh is Kshetra Vishuddhi Pranidhana. That means a resolve to purify the Buddha field, the Buddha Kshetra. Now those students, I mean, of the second year, I mean, you have studied Vimalakirti Nirdesha last time, and actually the very first chapter of the Vimalakirti Nirdesha is about the Buddha Kshetra Vishuddhi, because it's a typical Mahayana concept that when you want to develop the Buddha nature, Buddhahood, one condition is the purification of the Buddha Kshetra. And there is this idea of different Buddha fields, like every Buddha has his own Kshetra. Amitabha has his own Kshetra, and so on and so forth. Right? So the idea is that when the Buddhas they cultivate knowledge and merit, as a result of that cultivation of knowledge and merit, they create a special field in the universe, and that is called Buddha Kshetra. For example, the Buddha Amitabha has Sukhavati. Yeah, have you heard of Sukhavati? The land of happiness. That is said to be his Kshetra. So in Chinese Buddhism, they call it like something like pure land. Yeah? So there is this idea of some kind of area or region. But this area or region, I mean, it's not of, I mean, it's not physical. It is something like mental. I mean, as a result of Buddha's merit and knowledge, certain fields are created, and that is called Buddha Kshetra. And in the Vimalakirti, it was really made very nicely. It was clarified that when we say purification of Buddha Kshetra, actually Buddha Kshetra is not anywhere outside, but it's your own purification. So you, in order for you to enter the Buddha field, your mind should be purified. So that purified. Yeah, one's mind should be purified. Then if you want to enter the Buddha Kshetra, right, you will not enter a Buddha Kshetra, because Buddha Kshetra is not any physical space. But when your mind becomes pure, you create that Buddha Kshetra in your own mind. Right? So that's the idea, the purification of the Buddha, of the Kshetra. That's the next step in the practice. Next, Sattva Paripakaha. That's the next step. That is number 8, right, Pante?
Yes.
Are you putting numbers?
We 7th gone.
7th is over, right?
Yeah.
Now the 8th is Sattva Paripaka. Sattva Paripaka means maturing or making all the sentient beings mature. Literally, Paripaka means ripening, maturing. Now, this also you have learned, I mean, especially the second year students, you have learned this idea that a bodhisattva, what is the task of a bodhisattva? What kind of vow does a bodhisattva take? Do you know what is the vow of bodhisattva? Save all living beings from where? From what? No, saving all living beings from danger is okay, but that is not a. That is also a part of bodhisattva's vow. But what is the primary vow of a bodhisattva? What is his primary commitment?
Hello.
Yes, Chetan?
I will make sure.
Yes, to all beings, to all help the beings to get enlightened first, and then
Yes.
then only he will obtain
Yeah.
the
So
enlightenment.
basic. Yeah. Okay, you're right. So the basic commitment of the bodhisattva, the basic vow, the primary vow of a bodhisattva is to help all sentient beings to awakening. Yeah. To bodhi. Now, how he does that? This is not like a God, making you happy by his grace. It is not like that, right? Then how a bodhisattva does that? How bodhisattva helps everyone to attain awakening? He does that by maturing their minds. What bodhisattva does? He teaches dharma to all sentient beings in different ways. And through those different means, he tries to mature their mind for the enlightenment. Remember last year we read Sadhana Pundarika last semester, Bante? And there we see that the Buddha, it was said, right, that the Buddha follows various means, yeah, to make all the sentient beings ready. He prepares them for enlightenment, isn't it? Because so those who are in suffering, he helps them to come out of suffering, to overcome suffering. Now those who are out of suffering, then he helps them to see the higher dharma, right? Emptiness and so on. So he is always preparing you, preparing all sentient beings at different levels, and makes them ready, prepares them for the enlightenment. He cannot bestow awakening or enlightenment on them, right? He is not God. Yeah, there is no. This is different from the idea of God. God can, by His grace, can can change your life, can make you happy, and so on and so forth. But in Buddhism, what we say is that what the Bodhisattva's job is to prepare you, to make you ready, just like a teacher, for example. Now, teacher cannot give you knowledge, right? If that would have been possible, I would have just come in the class, placed my hand over your head and said, okay, you're blessed. Now you will have all the knowledge. I cannot do that. I don't have that capacity. And what I try to do is to prepare you to acquire knowledge. Right? So this is what the Bodhisattva does. He helps you to become ready for awakening. And he does that through various means, so which we learned in the Sadhana Pundarika, right? The first chapter. It can be very basic means, or then can go up to very advanced means, right? And only in the last stage, he will give you the highest teaching. In the Theravada also, we learn that the Buddha first teaches his disciples about dana, shila, heaven, dangers in sensual pleasures, and so on and so forth. So he prepares you. And only in the end, then he talks about the highest teaching. So in the case of Shravakayana, it is the fourfold truth. Yeah? That's what he teaches. But then in the Mahayana, he ultimately teaches you about the emptiness, about the dharmata, right? So the different, there are levels, different levels. So the next step in the bodhisattva practice is sattvanam paripaka, sattva paripaka, maturing all the sentient beings for awakening. Is that clear?
Sir, I have one doubt that can we consider that there is two types of bodhisattva?
What do you mean?
As for example, that Vimalakriti and other that like Buddha Shakyamuni himself, these all are that already enlightened, right, sir? So he just came here to show us the way of Buddhahood, how to get the enlightened. So and we if we follow the way of that, if we follow the way of Bodhisattva, that through the teaching of Buddha, that if we have intention of that to get the enlightened, we also consider it as a Bodhisattva, right, sir?
So I mean, there are no two types of bodhisattvas. You can just say, oh, the bodhisattva is only one type of bodhisattva. There are no different types of bodhisattvas. I mean, every bodhisattva, I mean, like you see, like when you aspire for your own enlightenment, yeah, that is the very first step, right? We have seen just now that the very first step of this path is to have the aspiration to become the Buddha, Chittotpada. That's the first step. But that is not the end of a journey, right?
Yes, yes.
So when you progress on the path, you have to take up this step. Like this is just the 8th step, that you want to prepare all sentient beings for enlightenment. That is also in your syllabus, right? So you can say that this is a syllabus for a bodhisattva. So in class 1, you should have aspiration. Class 2, practice paramita for yourself. Class 3, aspire for Buddha body. Class 4, aspire for Buddha's Dharmakaya. Yeah? In this way, you progress, isn't it? Class 5, give up egotism, right? If you attain something, don't be proud. Yeah? Class 6, purify your mind and so on, right? So in this way, you step by step, you go on the next class, become advanced class. So you start helping others only, I mean, the Sattva Paripaka only at class 8. Because now you are little bit, you are prepared to do that. In class 1, if you try to mature living being, that will be bit immature. Yeah. Now, this is a course he teaches at class 8. Okay. Yeah. So there are not two types of bodhisattvas, but I mean, these are different levels in the bodhisattva practice, different stations, different stages. Yeah. Okay. Next step. Bahya Shastrechu Vyapagata Ragata. He has to give up attachment to Bahya Shastra. He has to give up attachment to any external sciences. Now, what do you mean by that is that you have to have a full commitment for Buddhism. So, being a Buddhist, you cannot also have attachment, I mean, for other traditions. I mean, other scriptures of other tradition. I mean, studying them is okay. But if you decide to follow one path, then you should stick to that one path, right? Don't get confused. You cannot say, okay, I'll do this and I'll also do that. So you cannot kind of divide your practice into different paths. So you have to take up one path and then follow that path with full commitment. So don't try to, as I say, don't try to stand on two boats, yeah, at the same time. If you do that, what will happen? You may fall down, right? You may drown in the water if you try to ride two boats at the same time, right? Do you get that? So you just have to follow one path. Okay?
Yes.
Now the next one in that next station. So this was 9, right? Tattva Paripakaha was
Yes, sir.
8, right?
Yes, sir. 9.
Was 9. Now
Yes,
the
sir.
next one, yeah, the next one is the 10th one is called Sattva Bhajana Lokoyoho Pindagraha Vishirnata Yogaha. It's a long one in Sanskrit, but what it means is that you have to strive and practice in a way to dissolve the let's say the concept of an entity with regard to Tattva Loka and Bhajana Loka. I mean, in Buddhism, we talk about these two ideas about the world, Loka. The world is twofold, Tattva Loka and Bhajana Loka. Have you heard of that? These words? That means the world in terms of beings. Yeah? When we say world, like if we say world is full of, what do you say? World is full of tension, or world is full of trouble. What do you mean by world? So here by world, what you mean is the living beings in the world. Yeah. So we use the word world in the sense of beings in the world. But we also use the word world in the sense of the physical world, the actual, like this earth, yeah, this planet, sun, moon. This is also the world, right? So this world is called Bhajana Loka. Bhajana literally means a receptacle, that means that which holds living beings. That is also called world, right? So we use the word, the term world in the sense of the physical or material world, as well as sentient beings living in that world. Okay. Now, the next step for a bodhisattva is to get rid of pindagraha, to get rid of this idea, the concept of an entity. So usually what we do is we consider beings as entities, and we consider worldly objects as entities. So we have to resolve that. Now see, right now I'm sitting here in this class and I consider like all the students as individuals, right? Sukha, Santi, Bante, these are all individuals with body and mind. And then I also consider like table, chair, yeah, phone, recorder, all these are different entities. And that is called pindagraha. I grasp them, I comprehend them as one entity, as an individual entity. But in order to attain the perfection of wisdom, I should transcend that concept of an entity. I should start looking at them initially maybe as made up of dharmas. And ultimately, I even have to go beyond that and I say that, okay, these are all empty. Okay. So this is something like dissolving the sattva loka and bhajana loka, dissolving the idea of entity with regard to the world. And when you say world, it means the physical world as well as the living beings, the beings in that world. Okay. So this was step number 10, na Mante? Yeah? 10th class. So this is the syllabus for 10th class. Now, 11th. Tathagata puja satkaraha. Now, Tathagata puja satkaraha, the next step is honoring and worshipping the Tathagata. That means devoting yourself to the Tathagata. That's the next step. Okay. That is a step number 11. Then next one is, now again this is a long one, and in Sanskrit, in the commentary, it is explained as kaya chitta parishrantau virya vaimukkhya anarambha labha satkara virahitata. What it means is that you have to get rid of first thing is one has to get rid of labha satkar, that means honor and gain. You know, when I read this, sometimes I'm also reminded of those who have read the Theravada stuff or the Pali, the Shavakayana stuff. That this also reminds me of the tenfold army of Mara. When Buddha has this figurative fight with Mara, he says Mara has this tenfold army. And then it says things like Kamate, Patama, Sena, Dutiya, Arati, Vuchati, and so on and so forth. So sensual pleasures is your first army, disinterestedness is your second army, hunger and thirst is your third army, craving is the fourth army, and so on and so forth. And in this way, the tenfold army of Mara is described. And in that tenfold army, there is one army is gain and honor. Labha Sakkara Siloka. That is said to be one of the army of the Mara. You know, when you become when you advance in the practice on the path, you get special powers, and you know, people see, oh, this Bante is very great. He's so detached, yeah, and he is such a serious practitioner. And then they start praising you, right? And then they start bringing gifts for you, right? And then this is a most dangerous situation for a practitioner's point of view, because the practitioner may get trapped into this. Practitioner may get distracted because of this, right? He might just feel happy with the praise and the gifts and honors which he is getting, but then in that, by doing that, he may lose his motivation to become the Buddha, right? So therefore, the next step
in the practice is that one has to become oneself free from it, and then one should, in order to attain this, the peace of the body and mind, one has to also abstain from, he says, virya vaimukhya arambha. Virya vaimukhya means not making efforts, becoming lazy. Anarambha, not putting efforts, yeah? Not having energy, not having efforts. So one should try to avoid being lazy and being given to gain and fame, right? So this is very important as a practitioner. As it is said in that Mara's army, they say laziness is also one of the Mara's army. Yeah? So after some time you become lazy and you don't really want to put so much efforts. Yeah? Sometimes you feel, right, okay, now I have already made lots of efforts, and then you lose the motivation, and then your efforts are not so strong anymore. You're not so energetic or so motivated. Yeah? And then when people start praising you, you say, okay, I think I have achieved whatever I have to achieve. But no, your journey is still not complete. Your goal is not yet achieved. So you should not give up efforts. You should not give up your energy. Yeah, and should not get trapped with gain and fame. So that is the next step in the practice. That's the next station, the next challenge. Okay. And this is important. This is very important step. Okay. So because it happens, I mean, that when you're practicing for a long time, your body may become tired, your mind may become tired, but you have to always keep your mind free from laziness, dullness, right? And this attachment for gain and fame. Is that clear? Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, 12 stations. Yeah. Now.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in 11th stage, Tathagat Puja Satkara, is it like it is recommended or not recommended? Like in Pali, we have Sila Vritta Paramas. So it implies not to engage in Vrata
No, I mean,
Vaikalya's and all.
Shilavatta Paramarsha is a different thing. Yeah? Now, when we say Tathagata Puja Satkara, this is having that devotion to the Buddha and respect for the Buddha. That is said to be a necessary step. You have to develop that kind of a motivation. And you will see that actually I got disconnected. Anyway, so the point is that you need to have a highest kind of a devotion and respect for the Buddha. And you see, I mean, all these bodhisattvas, it is not the case that, I mean, they have very strong devotion for the Buddha, right? I mean, you read Vimalakirti, you read, I mean, we read about all the other like Mahamati and Lankavatara and so on. I mean, you'll see that all the bodhisattvas, they have great respect for the Buddha because that's the ideal, right? That's the ideal which they want to achieve, and you should have then that kind of respect and reverence for the ideal which you want to achieve. Otherwise, you won't achieve. So he's not asking here to kind of worship in a very mundane sense, right? This is not just like burning incense and doing puja and all that. But I mean, in your heart, you should have a highest kind of a reverence for the Buddha. You should develop that. So that is a necessary condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Then further, I mean, next he says that one should not, I mean, kaya chitta parishranto viryarambato avinivrittihi, and so now it is also prescribed here very interestingly, I mean in the same context, that he should, bodhisattva should give up high efforts. I mean, vinivritti is like not doing or retiring from energy and efforts. Now, this sounds a bit paradoxical because earlier we have seen that he should be free from virya vaimukhya and anarambha and puja, labha satkara. But now here in the next step, it is said that a bodhisattva should refrain or retire from energy and efforts. Viryarambha vinivrittihi. Why? Because now, I mean, those you have read Vimalakirti, you can relate this. You see, when we see Vimalakirti, he looks very normal person, right? And he does not show any signs of being a great bodhisattva. But you know that his achievements are very high. Yeah, he acts like a lay person. He goes here and there. It is shown. But actually, deep in his heart, he is a very superior bodhisattva, very advanced bodhisattva. Now, in the same way, it is suggested here as a practice that you should you should abstain from, at least outwardly, energetic efforts. Why? Because when people see you making efforts, they will start praising you. Oh, this person is very hardworking. Oh, he's trying to help everyone. He is such a great social worker. He is such a great bodhisattva. Yeah, people will start praising you, and you know that praise and honor is Mara's army, right? So one should avoid that. So one should not outwardly. One should not show. So one should basically avoid showing that you're making lots of efforts. Yeah, you are very serious. In fact, now people like Rucha, I mean, you have also read Pali, text in Visuddhi Magga, etc. It is said that sometime there is this like sometimes there are these monks and then who are, in order to get more what do you say, respect and gifts from lay people, they act as if they are meditating and so on and so forth. So they, I mean, in this way they try to kind of catch attention of people and so on and so forth. So such things are mentioned as bad practices. Now, I mean, here he's not talking about such kind of hinting or uh, suggestive acts, but he's here talking about that you should really also do not show it off. And actually, we see that in the life of great people. Hmm. So our modern days example now, those who are in Maharashtra, Gadge Baba Maharaj. Gadge Baba. So he, I mean, outwardly he never appeared like a great saint, but he was. So like that, I mean, you should not show that you are making lots of effort. Don't try to show off. And this is because then you may get praise and uh, honor from people, which is dangerous for you. Next one is Dukkādhivasanam. Okay. So Dukkādhivasanam means tolerance of suffering, tolerating suffering, tolerance, forbearance with respect to suffering. So whatever suffering you may have, you should bear them all. You should tolerate them. You should not complain. Okay? No complaining, just tolerate. The tolerance, okay, forbearance of suffering. That's the next class. Okay? Then the next class is after forbearance of suffering, dhyana swada virati. This is very important. Dhyana swada virati. Now you can see it's a very subtle part. Dhyana swada virati means abstinence from the enjoyment of dhyana, meditative absorption. I mean, we are told initially, of course, when you have meditation, you feel very relaxed and happy, and especially if you get some dhyana, like the different levels of dhyana, first dhyana, second dhyana, since your mind becomes quiet and concentrated, it gives you lots of joy. Yeah, this is how samadhi, it is described, samadhi sukha, the happiness of samadhi. But for a bodhisattva, it is suggested, the next class, that he should abstain from relishing the joy of absorption. Okay? Aswada, dhyana aswada. Aswada means relishing the joy. You feel very, very nice, very happy. Otherwise, you will just keep on meditating, and you will not care for others. You will lose sight of your other tasks, because the bodhisattva has to help everyone, right? He has to prepare all sentient beings for awakening. So even though absorption is very joyful and happy, but he should not really start relishing it, and he should abstain from that, because he has lots of other tasks to do. So that's why in the beginning, remember we read that for bhikshus, they think that okay, their task is over, so they can come and sit close to the Buddha, yeah, because they have no other duty left. But bodhisattvas are always busy, because sentient beings are infinite, and they want to make everyone enlightened. So their job, they are always busy. So therefore, as a practice, they should abstain from relishing the joy of absorption. Okay, this is the next step. Then abhisamaya kale ahamiti vikalpa viyogaha. So at the time of abhisamaya, at the time of realization, abhisamaya is a typical technical Buddhist term. Abhisamaya means the realization. At the time of realization, one has to detach himself or herself from the idea of I, that is ego. So getting rid of ego at the time of realization. Because if you have ego, if you have that concept of I, you cannot realize the truth. You cannot realize emptiness. You cannot realize the dharmata. Because dharmata is a state which cannot be experienced in duality. Right? You should overcome the duality. And in order to overcome duality, you should overcome the concept of I. Right? That I should be overcome. So, to get rid of that I at the time of awakening. That's the next step. Next class. And next one is avavada pariyeshanam. That means looking for or searching for the teachings. Avavada. Avavada means teaching or preaching. So as a bodhisattva, he should always look for teachings. He should always be seeking after teachings. That is the next step. Okay. Which one is that now? Which number? Huh?
17. 17.
17.
18. I lost my step.
So the 14th step is meditating absorption, and the next step 15 is abstain from the
No. Wait. I think, see.
14th step, tolerance of suffering.
Tolerance of suffering.
And 15, absorption.
The abstention from from relishing the joy of meditation. Yeah, joy of absorption. Yeah. Then next one was
Extract from idea, ego, and 17, looking for the teaching.
Looking for the teaching.
Finally,
And then just a minute. Okay. Then he says finally is a realization, and so basically the realization and the searching or seeking for Buddha Bhumi, the level of Buddhahood. So realization and seeking the Buddha Bhumi, that is the stage of Buddhahood. So this is the last one. These are the 18 steps. And in all these 18 steps, Bodhisattva should first try to establish himself, Sthathavyam, should stand there, then should walk. That means should make effort to attain the absorption. And third, he should not allow his mind to scatter, so he should try to focus his mind. Chittam pragrihitavyam. So Sthathavyam, Pratipattavyam, and Chittam pragrihitavyam is applicable to all the 18 stages. Every stage will have 3 steps. Okay, like now, see, this is just like when you are. Let's imagine that you are walking up on the staircase, right? Now you must have seen a child or even an old person. If they want to get to the one step, what they do, they first get up to the step, try to become stable, then then take a next step, right? So every step you have to Sthathavyam, Pratipattavyam, and Chittam pragrihitavyam. Every stage of these 18 stages, you have to do this. You have to make efforts, first of all, to establish yourself. And how you establish yourself? By developing Chitta Pranidhana, aspiration and commitment for attaining that stage. Then next, you try to attain the mastery in that particular level. And third thing, you do not want to lose whatever you have attained, right? So you guard whatever mastery you have achieved, you guard it, you protect it. You don't allow your mind to scatter. So every step, you have these three aspects. Okay? Aspiration and commitment, chanda pranidhana, that is thathavyam. Second is get established in the practice, attainment, yeah, yoga samapatti, and then retention, not allowing whatever you have achieved to scatter. Don't lose whatever you have achieved. Yeah, by focusing your mind, but not by not allowing your mind to scatter. That is chittam prakriti. So these are the three steps every time. Yeah? This is again true for anything what you do, what you learn. Yeah. So how do you learn? You have to have aspiration and commitment to learn something. Then you should master that subject, and once you master that subject, you should retain it. Right? Now you are here, you are learning Sanskrit. Yeah, you should have aspiration to learn Sanskrit. When you master it, and then after you master it, you make it a point that you don't lose it. Yeah, afterwards. Otherwise, if you don't practice it, then you will lose it, right? So this is true for anything which you want to learn. So this is in a way a very good learning process. Yeah. Now this is what the Buddha has now taught to said to. I mean, and this is how basically the whole text is laid out. Now, whatever sections we are going to read after this, they are all divided into these three steps. Okay, and in this way, they say that Buddha is teaching you three steps. I mean, sthathavyam, sthathavyam, pratipattavyam, and chittam prakritavyam. These are three steps. But in terms of bhumi, he said there are three stages here. Okay. Now you can say that he says that out of these 18, the first 16 stages, 1 to 16, this 1 to 16 talks about adhimukti charya bhumi. Adhimukti charya bhumi. You remember earlier we talked about three bhumis, right? Adhimukti charya bhumi, and then what was the second one? Yeah, Shuddhadhyashaya bhumi. So the 17th is Shuddhadhyashaya bhumi. 1 to 16 are all Adhimukti charya bhumi. They are all included in the Adhimukti charya bhumi. You are just strengthening your Adhimukti, your confidence, your conviction. The 17th bhumi is the 17th step, that is Abhisamaya, is basically your Shuddhadhyashaya bhumi, because this is the realization, Abhisamaya. And the last one, 18th, Buddha bhumi, Pariyeshana, that is searching for Buddha bhumi. That's the last step, 18th, and this is Buddha bhumi. Okay, so these 18 steps are further divided into these three bhumis. Steps number 1 to 16 is Adhimukti Charya bhumi, that means the stage of practicing or cultivating confidence or conviction or faith, Adhimukti. Then step number 17, that is Abhisamaya. This is basically Shuddhadhyashaya bhumi. And the 18th step, that is Buddha bhumi Pariyeshana, that is the Buddha bhumi, third step. So in this way, in the commentary, this one, I mean, this is how it is basically laid out, the whole path of practice of paramita. So first you should see, first you have aspiration, chittotpada, then you go on practicing the paramitas, then you wish for attaining Buddha's physical body and then dharma body, then you give up, try to give up ego, okay, and you try to kind of give up all these other things step by step, ego, then all this relishing the, I mean, we have all this different lists, from step number 5 onwards, 5 to 16. Basically, you're learning to purify your mind. You're learning to give up your ego. You're learning to do anything that would kind of that would uh, result into your praise and gain and so on. You also try to become humble and worship the Buddha, so you have develop highest respect and humbleness with respect to the Buddha. So all these things, I mean, these are different ways in which you try to perfect your mind, you try to purify your mind, yeah, of all the defilements and ego. So up to step number 16. So this is basically the preparation which is necessary to become the Buddha. And then comes the abhisamaya. Then when your heart becomes pure, there is realization. So that's a Shuddhadhyaya Bhumi. And then when that is done, then at the end you finally reach the Buddhahood, the Buddha, the state of a Buddha. Yeah, that is Buddha Bhumi Pariyeshana. That's the 18th step. Okay. So after you purify your mind, you seek for teaching, higher teaching. Now you have to always remember, in those steps we have seen that one step, that he looks for teaching, right? Avavada Pariyeshana. That was one of the steps. Now, this teaching we are talking about there in that particular stage, because it comes at a very higher level. So this is the highest teaching. You remember even Sariputra, we read last time in the Saddharma Pundarika, Sariputra is already Arhat, right? But he also required that final teaching of the Buddha, the highest teaching. So this teaching we are talking about here, not primary teaching of the Buddhism, right? Not the teaching of Shravakayana or not the teaching of Pratyek Buddhayana. But here when he say Avavada Pariyeshana, he is talking about basically seeking the highest teaching of the Bodhisattvayana. Okay? So only after that, after getting that teaching, then he realizes that, okay, the Buddhahood is still higher than this. So just becoming Arhat, just becoming Pratyeka Buddha is not enough. There is still higher bhumi, higher level, and that is the level of the Buddha, and that he then wants to achieve, and then he finally attains it. So this is the path of practice laid down in this sutra. So please keep this framework in your mind when you are reading this sutra. Okay. Otherwise, it is. I mean, you will feel that there is lots of repetition, and why is he saying this? Yeah. And sometimes you may also feel that this is a bit boring and monotonous. But this is the path which they are trying to lay down, and this is the traditional way of understanding this sutra. Okay, explained by Kamalaśīla in his commentary. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So now, our time is almost up for today. I think. I mean, we started a bit late, but I mean, I have to do some work at 4 o'clock. So let us stop here because now we will actually start the Chittotpada section, and I think that we will do on Monday then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
A lot of knowledge today, so
Lots of steps to come to Buddhahood.
So Buddhahood is not easy, right?
Yeah, no, the ego today.